Here comes Davis. Oh my God! Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
Hello and welcome to this episode of War Eagle Weekly. How we doing, Josh?
Bro, this weekend couldn't have been any better. It
was
just
a
couldn't have been any better.
Great weekend. Auburn with the 1-0 and another team we know.
Right now with the first down. I think the way they've been running the football.
I'm sorry, folks. I don't know what I don't know how that got there. That just I'm not sure what happened there, but I ain't hurting for it and I ain't mad about it. I am absolutely, like you said, this weekend could not have gone any better for an Auburn fan. To get the W on Friday night, have all day Saturday to see your top teams and the top teams in the SEC to really, for the most part, struggle against their teams. Georgia, they handled business. They kind of started a little slow, but they got into it. Texas didn't look great. Their defense looks amazing. Let's just be honest about that. But their offense struggled a lot. And then
they got some stuff to figure out.
The chef's kiss at the end of the day is our rival, Alabama, seeing what it is like to be the rest of the world. And dude, fans,
welcome back to Earth.
Right? Fans are losing it right now. They cannot keep it together. But hey, this is an Auburn podcast, not an Alabama podcast. So
thank God.
Let's jump right into it, Josh. Auburn with for the most part, a convincing win against Baylor. It kind of looks like our running game is a little dangerous, wouldn't you say?
Oh my goodness, I would definitely say so. Is this what Bo Nix would have looked like under Hugh Freeze instead of Potato Head? I feel like this is what we should have been expecting out of Bo Nix. And, you know, a lot of people are saying that it's concerning that we didn't throw it as much or use our weapons like we wanted to. But the fact is we did not need to. We were talking about it the entire game.
Yeah.
And they were so terrified of Auburn's receivers. They stayed in two high safeties the entire frigging game, daring us to run. And guess what we did? We ran it down their damn throats. Jackson Arnold averaged 8.6 yards a carry. And
say
one
that
of our
again for the
backs
folks at home that can't hear you quite clear enough, Josh.
8.6 yards a carry for our quarterback. And not one of our running backs that had more than 15 carries finished with less than 4.6 yards a carry. I mean, if you're not going to fill the box like that, you're just going to get run all over. It's just Auburn did not need to use the receivers because Baylor was not adjusting to the run.
Yeah.
Hugh Freeze did the exact opposite that he did last year. When the run was working, he went to the pass. This year, when the run's working, he's staying with the run because the run was always working.
No, you are 100% correct. Everything worked. I'm not going to lie. I think every single Auburn fan, that first possession of the offense, it went 3 and out. It looked like last year. And all of a sudden, I'm just like, holy shit, this is going to be a long season. But they turned it around. Jackson Arnold got settled down a little bit. He made a couple of errant passes. Didn't quite get the passing game going, but he gave what the defense gave him. And honestly, it's refreshing. One of the biggest questions we had coming into this game was, A, how is the running back split going to work? We talked about it on last week's episode. And then B, are we going to be able to run the ball? Because Hugh Freeze has never shown us any indication that he is going to consistently run the ball. But guess what, Josh? We had a quarterback in there that made the right decisions. When he threw the ball,
single time,
he was decisive. Okay, he knew his reads. He threw that beautiful ball on that third down play to Malcolm Simmons that continued the drive. Okay, and instantly after that, I started feeling a little bit better because it came on the second or third drive that he made that throw.
Yeah,
and it was the second drive, I think. And I started feeling better. I'm like, okay, we're doing this, and he's making the right reads. He made the right throw at first. I thought he kind of threw it behind him, but he was throwing away from the help of the safety. So I'm all for the ball placement on that one. But the big thing for me was the running game was dangerous because Jackson Arnold was selfless and knew when to give up the ball, when to pass the ball, and when to tuck it himself. He made every right read from what I could tell. I'm not a coach, so I'm sure that they're breaking down some film, and I'm sure that there's some things that he made the wrong read on. But if this was the wrong read, Josh, I think I might take it.
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, who wouldn't? Again, it all goes back to Baylor's defensive coordinator and head coach. They decided to stay too high the entire game and not load the box, even though Auburn was gashing them. And I'm not discouraged by the lack of passing whatsoever. The thing that encourages me the most, it was the pass to Horatio Fields to continue the drive on third down.
Back
He
shoulder.
threw it to the perfect spot, and Horatio he caught the ball beyond the line to gain, but then pushed forward for an extra yard, and that's what continued the drive. I think that was the most important and impressive passing feat of the game. But I mean, why would you go away from something that works? And I'm so glad Hugh Freeze did not.
Yeah, no, and we'll talk more about that later in the episode about Hugh Freeze not beating himself. And we'll also talk about the passing game a little bit more in our next episode that's going to come out on Wednesday, where we preview the Ball State game. Not much to preview there, but I think that there's a lot offensively we have to talk about, as well as what the defense can do at that point. But let's get into the defense in the Baylor game. I, for one, am a little worried about the defense. But Josh, in your opinion, should we be worried about Auburn's defense?
You know, anytime you play an air raid offense, they're going to get their yards. No matter what you do, they're going to get their yards.
Are they an air raid offense, though? Because last year they had 1,700 yards rushing by their running back.
They lost their number 2 running back before the season started, so I guess they had to adjust a little bit. But if they're not air raid, I would say they're pro style for sure. But when you got a quarterback like Sawyer Robertson, he's a preseason Heisman candidate, and he looked every bit of the part in this Auburn game. So I think I would attribute Auburn's defense to a lot of mental lapses.
Okay.
Like Caleb Harris, I don't know where his head was at a bunch of those times. Yeah. It's just I feel like that's something that's easily correctable, and we're just going to have to keep moving those pieces around. We got so much depth in the secondary that I really don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. I wasn't discouraged at all by the linebackers. There was a couple of times where I'm like, they could have done better, but I feel like Robert Woodyard was all over the place and making plays the whole game. DeMarcus Riddick had a bat down. I wish he batted the ball up instead of down on that red zone trip. But I'm not discouraged by the defense at all, because especially when you're playing like a quarterback the caliber of Sawyer Robinson, I really don't see any reason to be super concerned.
So kudos to Sawyer Robinson, because there were several times in this game where I was like, okay, that hit got to him, and you're gonna have that drop off. You're gonna see him throwing the ball a little bit early on the next drive or on the next play, or something like that. And the dude never faltered. I mean, he took hit after hit, pressure after pressure, hitting his hand on his center's head like a champ. And I mean, kudos to that guy. He's a lot better than I thought he was, personally. But I thought that they did really good offensively. Baylor did, of passing the ball. He hit his receivers in stride to where they were able to make a bunch of our guys miss. And that is where my problem comes. Bad tackling, thank goodness it's just week 1 and you're just knocking the cobwebs off. So I'm okay. But there was blown coverage across the middle of the field all night long from our linebackers and from our safeties. Our safeties, of the top 6 worst defensive performances via PFF, okay, 5 of them were safeties. 5 of them were safeties, Josh. Now, that's alarming, because we thought Caleb Harris was going to take that step forward. I talked a little bit about my concern of him having that sophomore slump like Kayan Lee did last year, and I hope he corrects it and that this is as bad as it gets, because he had 2 very bad plays.
He did. He did. And, I don't know if you're thinking about this one bad play from Kayan Lee when he got called for passing interference. I don't think that was a legit passing interference call. I just think the refs were making up.
Kayan Lee didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he had some bad plays last year. But again, with Caleb Harris, man, I think it's all mental, and you keep hyping him up in practice and throughout the week. It's going to get his confidence back up. I think this Baylor game was more of a let's gauge where we're at type of deal. What schemes work, what schemes don't work, and for the most part, it definitely did work. But when you have a receiving tight end like Baylor does and Michael Trigg, you gotta do something else. You gotta have a linebacker ready to help out the safety that's covering that tight end, and you just can't let those kinds of things happen. But that dude, Michael Trigg, dude, he's going to be a problem for the rest of the league.
Yeah. No, Michael Trigg scared me to death in this game. I mean, that dude, he other than the touchdown pass that he dropped, he caught everything that came his way.
He had a few other drops, I feel like he saw the ball coming and looked away before he completed the catch, and that's what caught. I think he was targeted like 15 times in this game. Had like 4 or 5 drops, I think. But regardless, I mean, we all knew what was coming. He was his number one target, other than that other receiver. I can't remember his name because he had over like 130 yards on us as well.
Childress
but
or something like that.
I can't remember his name. But regardless, man, you got to have some sort of help when you're dealing with a player like that over the middle. Because that's all he would run. He'd run over the middle. It's never anything over the top of you. He'd take that hard slant and we just couldn't catch up. You got to have help.
Yeah. And honestly, defensive line, big question mark for a lot of people. They looked good. I mean, they shut down the running game, only allowing 82 yards. And outside, thankfully, we had that holding call on the one long run that Baylor's running back had. But prior to that, I mean, the defense just handled everything, defensive line, handled everything in front of them and just absolutely owned that offensive line and was in Sawyer Robertson's face the entire game. We had 4 sacks, which I feel like is really good. I'll take that every game if we can get 4 sacks. And then we had a lot of pressure as well. There was a lot of, talk on Discord in a particular group, I won't say, that a few people were concerned about Keldrick Falk, and they were like, where's Keldrick Falk? We need him to make a big play. And he had the 1 sack, but he was constantly affecting the run game. He was constantly putting pressure on Sawyer Robinson and opening up the rushing game or his pass rush game for his other linemen. And I think the other
that's what a captain does.
Game. Yeah, exactly. And then for Keldrick Falk to make the touchdown saving tackle coming and
NFL scouts
down
take note of that crap.
Ooh,
they take note of that crap. I mean, if Keldrick Falk wasn't being double teamed, he was being held every single drive or every single play. He was making more of an impact than the stat sheet shows. That's for sure.
Yes, 100%. So I'm a little worried about the defense, but it's game 1. Durkin is going to make adjustments. They kept cutting to him on the sideline, and every time they showed him, he was smiling. So they were playing into something he wanted, and they really did have a bend, don't break attitude because they really stifled him in the red zone the entire night. Now,
do teams punt anymore?
What was that? No, they
teams. I think I've seen more 4th down tries this season in week 1 and week 0 than I've ever seen in an entire football season.
Yeah, it was insane. Speaking of them going for it on 4th down, 3rd and long and 4th and long still seems to be an issue. And that carries over from last year. I'm worried about that more so than the tackling. Tackling, it's week 1. That's going to get covered up. Mental mistakes, lapse in judgment, that'll get cleaned up. It's the 4th and long, 3rd and long that really is concerning because they don't get it.
You got to get the DBs to stop cheating on the quarterback. I mean, you got to pay attention to your coverage. And I get wanting to watch where the quarterback's looking, but when you're down in coverage, focus on your assignment. That's all it is. And that comes back down to mental. Yeah. You got to correct that.
Yeah, and the pass interference on Kayan Lee was bullcrap. The cornerbacks, Crawford had a phenomenal game. They didn't target him until halfway through the 3rd quarter, it seemed like, and they were like pressing the issue to try to target him or the receiver that he was covering. So I can't say too many bad things about the cornerbacks. Even the 2 transfers had a pretty good game. Wasn't great, but they had a pretty good game. Champ Anthony laid that one receiver out and caused him to drop the ball. I think that had a lot to do with Champ Anthony's issues in the game. Was he was always looking to lay somebody out. You can see why the receivers were getting hurt in fall camp apparently, because the dude was just laying the wood on the Baylor receivers, or trying to. Baylor's receivers were phenomenal. They're skill players. Can't say enough good things about them because they torched us.
They did.
So kudos to them, but hopefully the defensive staff gets it all cleared up. Now, the biggest takeaway in this game for me was that Hugh Freeze did not beat himself. He talked about it all last year in the Vandy game, making the comments about Jarquez being winded on the sideline, and cut to Jarquez, and the dude is as stoic as can be, barely breathing, and you're just like, Coach, we saw him. He wasn't struggling. Or in the Kentucky game where he talks about having to go against his nature and trying not to pass the ball. It looks like Hugh Freeze and company corrected that, at least in this game. What do you think? He definitely didn't beat himself, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, that's for damn sure. He did not beat himself. He stuck to what was working, and that's what we wanted last year. If we did that last year, I feel like we won at least 2 more games. Aside from the special teams plays last year, but the biggest takeaways for me, I have 2 of them. One, Jackson Arnold, whenever he was slightly pressured in the pocket, he didn't spin or move towards the pressure. He spun away and got away and made a play. We didn't see that last year with Peyton Thorne, and that's the last time I'm going to mention his name. Well, I'm not thinking that far back. I'm not going to mention his name the rest of this time, the rest of this year. But the biggest takeaway for me is no turnovers at all.
Yeah.
I think technically we did win the turnover battle because Baylor failed on more 4th down attempts than we did, but yeah. I'm not really going to count that. But we had 0 turnovers in the game last year with the game on the line. We all know what's his face did, and I'm just so glad we didn't see that again this year, because there was times where Jackson Arnold could have probably wanted to play hero with the passing game, but he decided to take what was given to him and make the best of it, and I couldn't be more happy.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, and the part that I like the most right now is, again, Hugh Freeze did not beat himself. He kept calling the same play. It was the same exact play after play after play. It was an RPO. And Jackson Arnold, like you said, made the right decisions, unlike past quarterbacks in the system the last 2 years. He just made the plays. And kudos to the coaches for putting trust in him. And they clearly have a lot more faith in him because of what they saw. And so, no, Hugh Freeze didn't beat himself. And hopefully that talk kind of goes away this year, because it looks like they were making the right decisions. So, yeah. Josh, in your opinion, can Auburn continue this momentum moving forward? We got 2 cupcakes coming up. So, shouldn't have any problems there, but we got to prepare against Oklahoma. Looked pretty good against their cupcake. It wasn't a cupcake. It was a so-so, right? Or was it a cupcake? I can't remember.
Who are you talking about? Ball State?
Oklahoma. Like Oklahoma.
Oklahoma?
I can't remember who they played.
I don't care who they played. I just know they won.
Yeah.
I would like to say they are going to continue success, because we started the season off a team that has favored, or one of the favorites to win their conference, and we beat them by 2 touchdowns. Then we have Ball State and University of South Alabama. So we had the confidence from beating a fairly good opponent. Now we get to really see these players really get into the game. We're going to see a lot of receiving action in the next 2 games, and it'll be good to go into the Oklahoma game 3-0.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back against Ball State. I think we can continue this momentum. Teams past maybe have taken some of your lesser opponents a little less seriously. Hopefully this group takes them seriously and just puts their foot on their throat and just completely destroys them, because I watched the Ball State Purdue game, and Purdue didn't look great in the first half. They kind of turned it on and killed Ball State in the end. But Ball State did not look good. There were so many issues on their team that we really should be able to handle them easily. Hopefully we do, and it's not an issue. But I do think we can continue this momentum, and especially after seeing what other teams in the SEC looked like yesterday, or I'm sorry, on Saturday and on Sunday. It feels like the SEC is wide open, and if Auburn continues this momentum here after the Georgia game, win or lose, they might be talking about us in a different light.
Oh, absolutely. And when you say the SEC is wide open, who's at the bottom of the SEC right now?
I know one school specifically, and that being Alabama is down
Alabama
there with a loss. Yeah,
as
I don't
well
think
as the
anybody
number one
else
team.
did any other SEC team lose? Oh yeah, you're right. Texas did lose as well. So yeah, Alabama's in trouble, man. We've been telling our Alabama family members that they need to start preparing themselves. We told them a couple of years ago when they hired DeBoer. We told them they need to start preparing themselves. And
Last year was a product of Nick Saban's team. This
yeah.
year is, I mean, they even had their problems last year, and now they're going to have. Yeah. He's just Husky Harsin, man.
Husky Harsin, and clearly Nick Saban did not give them the 4-1-1 on Gus Malzahn and what offense he was going to run, because I swear we could have been sitting together in the offensive play calling room and could have called just the same game that Gus did, because we saw it coming, play after play after play. It was all the same. It hasn't changed, and so that's just terrible on their part, if you ask me.
Alabama, I mean,
that is.
Again, this isn't an Alabama podcast. I'm just happy that Alabama started the season off 0-1, and Auburn is 1-0.
1-0. And Josh, with that though, War Eagle, son.
War damn Eagle.
I think the way they've been running the football.
There goes Davis. Oh my God! Davis